in order to create an MP3 player that plays multiple songs, we obviously need multiple music files. So I've gone ahead and obtained 3 different musical files right here, each with a different song. And I've gotten a little bit of information about each file and song. The name of the piece, the composer, the length, and the file name. Now we've got to put this information in a format that our MP3 player is going to be able to understand. That format is going to be XML. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this information and I'm going to create an XML file out of it. So let's go ahead and let's get into Komodo here and we'll create a new file. And I think I can split the screen so I can see both of these. There we go. So there's our information file, and we'll write our XML right below it. So this way we have our information available to us. Now, every XML file starts with an XML declaration, simply declaring that this file is going to be XML, and the version of XML we're using, which is going to be XML version 1. I'm going to save at this point, because if I save now, the text editor is going to color code the XML. So here we are in 2.1 code, and I'll call this music.xml. See how it starts color coding it here right there? All right, so now that we've got our XML, and our XML declaration, XML version 1.0, we're going to create what's called our root node or root element. And that node encloses all of the other nodes. So we've got here music as our root node. Now each one of these needs to be enclosed in another node. Let's call that a composition. Now I'm choosing names here that make sense to me. These aren't specific tag names that are within XML. I'm actually making them up. Good XML should be self-documenting. Somebody should be able to look at the XML and understand what it's about just by reading it. All right, so we've got a couple pieces of information. We've got the title of the composition. We've got the composer. You also might notice, by standard, I'm making all my XML tags lowercase. Now, you don't have to do this, but it's a good idea to do this because then you always know everything is lowercase. You don't have to think about case sensitivity. All right, so I'm going to take this, and this is going to be the structure of all 5 of our nodes. So now I can start filling these out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now there are programs that will help you do this and will keep the structure consistent for you. I just prefer to do it by hand. So the first one, the title is O Mio Babino Caro, and that is by Puccini. So I'm filling in here content for each of these nodes. Then this content is going to be read by the MP3 player using JavaScript in a few minutes. All right, so we'll do the second one. The Man I Love. That was composed by George Gershwin. The time is 2 minutes 57 seconds. And the file name is gershwin.mp3. It's really critical that the data in here is correct because your MP3 player is going to be depending on it. All right, so I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll have another look at it. All right, and we're just getting the last one in here, funeral.mp3. I'm going to save that. We don't need this information anymore, so we'll close that. And we've got now our XML. And so we have our root node, which is music, opens and closes. We've got our compositions, which is our repeating elements, and then we've got a title, composer, and time and file name for each of these. Now, it's a good idea to try and open this XML file inside a browser itself. So I'm going to go ahead and open this in, well, use any browser. We're going to use, let's use Safari this time. And most browsers will format the XML in some type of readable format. That is, if the XML is correctly formed. So here you see it forms this XML tree with each of these nodes we're able to open and close like this. So we know the XML is correctly formed because it's being understood and processed by the browser. Let's say the XML had some type of weird error in it. That should be enough to cause a problem. And then when I refresh, the browser is going to give me an error just like this because it can't process an XML unless the XML basically is perfectly done. All right, so now we've got it. And again, we'll refresh. So I know my XML is correct. Once you have your XML file, and you can do this for any group of songs, any group of MP3s, then you can put that aside because in the next segment, we're going to read that file into our actual MP3 player.